Well, people, we have made it to Friday, TGIF edition of the show. Number one forum for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, if you haven't done so already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button right now. Get all of your friends to subscribe so that way you can have all that you crave on Crimson Tide football. Also, give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, run those likes up, turn on all of those notifications, hit that bell so that way you can have all of your alerts, news, notes, entertainment on Alabama football, making this your show, your network, your channel, your space to talk Tide football. We also got you covered on Facebook and Twitter as well. Guys, shout out my man, Big Bill! Bill from New York with that $10 donation in the Super Chats. Already starting us off correctly. That daily Super Chat goal, $75. Daily Super Chat goal. People, it has been a crazy last few days. If you have been living under a rock, if you're not in tune with what's been going on, we will gladly provide you with that on today's show. This is why you have to love college football. You gotta love college football because different things happen, new stuff happens every single day, especially in the SEC. I mean, Auburn is imploding with that situation with Brian Harsin over there. And then you've got, here at the University of Alabama with the Board of Trustees and Greg Byrne breaking ground on a new basketball arena for Alabama men's basketball and head coach Nate Oates. You got Coach Saban continuing to upgrade his coaching staff. And then, Pete Golding got involved in a situation that we will talk about as well. So we'll get into all of these conversations tonight on the show, and you can get your voice be heard by calling 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. Let the passion, the entertainment flow from you guys. Guys, shout out Jamie Wilheim with that $9.99 in the Super Chats. Wilheim helping us out here on the show. Appreciate the love there in the Super Chat bucket. Got to shout out my man John Ivory as well in the production studio. But we're getting it out, people. Topic number one of the conversation. And when we were younger, as children, and we were met with the situation of, I got bad news and I got good news. Which one do you want to hear first? As children, we wanted to hear the good news. We wanted to feel all warm and fuzzy inside and get the positive vibes out early before having to brace ourselves for the worst case scenario. Now, as we have gotten older, in this generation, in society as we know it now, not saying that we have become more cynical than what we were as children, but nowadays it's become, okay, give me all the bad news first. Let me brace myself for all the bad news, and all the bad news pour in at once so I can deal with it, and then we can go to the good news. And for the University of Alabama, Pete Golding on Thursday morning was charged and arrested with driving under the influence in Northport. And according to the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office, his bond was set at $500. Now, Pete Golding has been bonded out since then, but was charged, arrested with DUI in Northport. And, of course, since then, we have seen statements from the University of Alabama and Coach Golding, UA, basically saying, look, we are fully aware of the situation. We know what happened. We're gathering information. We're going through the due process, and we will handle this in-house where Coach Golding is concerned. And, of course, for Pete Golding, his statement, very remorseful, sad for what he did, sorrowful for what he did, hurt by what he did, disappointed, family disappointed, Coach Saban disappointed the university, just very, very remorseful about what happened in the whole incident. So, bad look on the program, especially when you look at no need for drinking and driving when you could call an Uber, you could call a taxi cab, you could call other coaches, you can call so many people to come and help out in the situation. So no excuse for what happened, but at least, part one, Golding owns up to it. And then part two, no reports have come out about whether other people were involved, whether somebody was hurt or not, somebody was injured or not. So the good news is that no report was put out there about how somebody else being involved in the incident. And, for Coach Golding, this comes on the heels of his best recruiting performance at Alabama. You look at this 2022 class of the 24 student athletes that were signed, including the 3 transfers, 8 guys Pete Golding primarily brought in. When you look at 5 stars, Giot Campbell and Aaron Anderson, when you discuss Jaheim Otis and Sean Murphy at linebacker, Danny Lewis Jr. at tight end, the transfer defensive back, and Elias Ricks. Golding also had a hand in bringing in wide receiver Jermaine Burton from Georgia. So Golding had a big day. And then, of course, Coach Saban lavishing praise on him in the press conference on Wednesday. I mean, U.S. fans were like, finally saying, maybe we were wrong on Pete Golding. Maybe Pete Golding is the guy. Maybe we need to trust Pete Golding. No, Pete's not that bad. No, Pete's not terrible. Pete's okay. Pete's okay. So, on the heels of best recruiting performance in his time at Alabama, and finally starting to get some of the trust and the respect from more of the fans, and the defense played better. A lot better the second half of last season. And in having 9 of 11 starters back on the defensive side of the ball, everything looking right there for Pete Golding. Coach Golding thought, you know what? I deserve this turn up. I deserve this little turn up. So he goes, gets his turn up on, a little tipsy, a little drunk there, and gets behind the wheel. Should not have done that. But did appear to be remorseful there in the statement. But it all goes back to Coach Saban, right? Coach Saban has the final say-so. And I know he talks to his players, he talks to his coaches about these situations, and not having these situations be done, be performed, happen. And you look at the University of Alabama, so it's going to be a big conversation between Saban and Coach Golding. Hopefully this does not become career-ending for Pete, because I like the guy. I mean, from the moment Golding was hired, or Golding was promoted, as I should say, as the primary defensive coordinator in 2019, and he had his first press conference during the media portion of Fan Day that year. I like the guy. I mean, I was a Pete Golding supporter from day one. And, of course, he's had his bumps. He's had his bruises. He's had his moments where it's been some struggles, but I go back to he had moments in the 2020 season where he had the defense playing well. And in the second half of this past year, following the Texas A&M game, that defense pulled together. That defense turned it around. That defense played with its hair on fire. And with all of these good things culminating here for Coach Golding, just not the best look to see what happened there on Thursday, but thankfully nothing has been reported in terms of anybody else being involved where Golding was concerned, being charged, arrested there with the DUI. So we'll see how Coach Saban goes about it. We'll see how Coach Saban plays it, but Coach Saban, not Coach Saban, but Pete Golding and the University of Alabama both releasing statements there. Now, what's interesting here, John, is Twitter is outstanding. Twitter can be crazy. Twitter can be the worst rabbit hole in the history of social media, but Twitter can also provide you with some incredible content. So while half the fan base is looking at Coach Golding like, Pete, why'd you do it, man? Why'd you do it? Call a taxi, get an Uber. Pete, why? Why? The other half is like, well, wait a minute, y'all. Maybe this is not such a bad thing. You know, when Alabama's defense was good, we was, having players fighting on the sideline. We had players smoking cigarettes after the Tennessee game. We had players with a couple of screws missing. That's when the defense was really good. And now our coordinator then got charged and arrested with DUI. I mean, this could be the street cred Pete Golding needs. This could have this defense playing with on point in the upcoming season. I'm like, man, Twitter is just unreal with this conversation here. But while you got while you got the fan base thinking different thoughts here, my mind took me to something completely different all the way in left field. So as I was looking at the police report there on Coach Golding, my mind drew me to his full name in the police report, that being Stephen Thomas Golding. And I'm like, where did the family get Pete from? I guess it's a nickname. Maybe he grew up an LSU basketball fan, Pistol Pete Maravich, who knows? But that just kind of where my mind took me to. Stephen Thomas Golding, the full name, but the nickname there of Pete. But, I mean, it is what it is. We'll see how Saban handles it. We'll see how the University of Alabama goes about it. But hopefully this is not career-ending for one Coach Golding. We're going to go to a break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we go on the phone lines. We grab your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your texts, your interactions. We get to you, the Bama Nation, on a Friday after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
This is Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, and you're listening to In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith with Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And I got two words to say, baby. Roll Tide.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
As we're back in from the break of a number one forum for Bama football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Happy to have you guys checking us out here on today. Got to shout out Nez ATL with that $5 donation, dropping the love there in the bucket. Appreciate the support there from Nez ATL. And at least here's a good thing here for Coach Gold. At least, on the heels of what happened with him, Brian Harsin comes up with the biggest hold my beer moment of all time, because people are like, well, they're going to talk about this with Pete Golding for a minute, and here comes Brian Harsin on the plains of Auburn University with the situation he's got going on. So he has completely taken all the attention, taken all the focus off of Coach Golding. So there it is right there. But we go to the phone lines to take your calls. Call segment is brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York. And I got pretty strong feelings about what I'm about to say tonight. First of all, let me start with the two things. Let me start with the Auburn coach. I think it's so easy for Auburn to play holier than thou. God forbid he did something this terrible. But what I'm saying is they're looking to get rid of him because he was 6-7, and they dug their own hole. They fired Malzahn, whatever his name is. You know what I mean? He did better than this guy, and you know what? Think about it. They're just looking to get rid of him, and they're looking to blame this indiscretion for the reason they're getting rid of him. I don't respect that at all. Please, if their coach was Nick Saban, what do you think they would do? You think they'd get rid of Nick Saban because he did something like that? Please. And these people who are getting rid of him want to fire him or did already, I don't know, and everything else. I wonder what they've done in their lives. Okay, now I'm going to skip over to Pete Golding. Let me tell you, if I read his statement and I respect it. He didn't blame the cops. He didn't blame anybody but his own self, let's say. You know, he didn't blame anyone but himself. He apologized. I think he could use this as an opportunity to teach players. Because look what this cost me. This might have cost me like millions of dollars in a raise. It might have cost me a shot at a head coaching job. It's got to be postponed if it ever happens. Now, if it happens again, I say there's a problem. But, you know, like the Bible says a bunch of stuff about glass houses, you know, throwing stones and judging, you know. And listen, the guy made a mistake. It was a bad one. It was a bad one. But I love the way he responded, and I'd love to hear what you think about what I had to say, Stephen.
Absolutely, Bill. I mean, I thought Pete Golden, from reading his statement, he was very remorseful. And knowing Coach Pete, you know, he wants this opportunity to coach at Bama. I remember when he was at the podium 2019 as the primary defensive coordinator during the media portion of Fan Day, he talked about it. This was the job he always wanted. He wanted nothing else but to be at Alabama and work for under Coach Saban. And just coming after his best recruiting performance in this cycle, and Coach Saban lavishing praise on him and how much these young men love him and respect him, he's hurt. He's hurt by the decision that he made. My thing is that, like you said, Bill, that he learns from this, that he grows from this, that he gets better from this, and that he's able to have that second opportunity. Appreciate Bill from New York for that call right there. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Steve, it's Robert from Chicago.
Robert, what's happening, man?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Hey, I'm going to go a different direction with Pete Golding. You know, as Rudyard Kipling said, there are a million reasons for failure, but not one single excuse. And to me, this is just a flagrant situation where he's a grown man. He should know better. I think you got to have a zero tolerance policy with this type of behavior. You know, the way I look at performance is, you know, there are three scenarios. If you have great performance and great values, you're onward and upward. You got a great career. If you have good values but poor performance, hey, you can learn again, train again, get a second and third chance. But if you have good performance and poor values, the natural tendency is to do what you guys are saying. Well, give them a second chance. The numbers are looking better. That's the hard decision. That's a decision where you got to say, you know what? Values trump performance. Because without values, you don't have culture. Without culture, you don't have integrity and authenticity. And in my mind, Pete Golding knew the issues. He knew the odds. He knew the situation. But, you know, he decided to make Jim Beam and Jack Daniels his two best friends. And that's a problem. And how can you be credible when you got a situation like Henry Ruggs that everybody should have learned from Alabama, and then you got the defensive coordinator out drinking heavily? And irregardless of his statements of remorse, I think you got to send a signal, a crystal clear signal to the team, to the university, that there's zero tolerance for this type of behavior. And thank God nobody got hurt, but he knew the stakes when he was doing that. And I think it was arrogant on his behalf. And I think that same type of arrogance is a problem down the road. And hopefully he can be like Steve Sarkisian and, be out for a while and then come back and be a better coach. But I think to immediately reward him and give him a second chance is not the right decision. I'm sure I have a dissenting view, but those are my thoughts. Thanks.
Appreciate Robert from Chicago for his thoughts here on the show. Appreciate that right there. We continue with phone calls, 205-448-1358. Number to call in. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, this is Sammy from Grand Bay, Alabama.
Sammy, what's happening, man?
Nothing much. I'm going to piggyback off what the last guy said. It's almost like he must have been in my brain. I'm exactly 1,000% with him. I do not think that Pete Golding needs to be the defensive coordinator at Alabama any longer. You got to be smarter than that. I'm sorry. You got to be smarter than that. And if you're going to go out celebrating or whatever you may have been doing, I'm sure he's heard Coach Saban and everybody else, get you a daggum Uber, taxi, Lyft, whatever these things are, because it's just too dangerous. And I agree with what Rob, sorry, I don't know his name, the guy who just called before me. It's arrogant, absolutely arrogant to think that, I just had a nice 3-4 games of calling them defensive plays, and then I just had a nice recruiting class. I can do whatever the heck I want to do. No, absolutely not. You just can't do it. What if he would have hit somebody? What if it would have been a situation like Henry Ruggs? I hate to even bring it up, but let's just call it what it is. You can't do it. I'm sorry. And you got impressionable young kids. How are you going to go into a defensive meeting and say, hey, guys, don't do this, don't do that, and then you're out there doing not just drinking, but you're going and driving, and then you get arrested for doing it. I mean, hey, look here. We know what it is. All these kids, they're going to do what they want to do. They're going to go out drinking. When I was in school, I had a lot of buddies. They did the same things, and it was wrong. Of course, they knew it was wrong, but they still did it. And he just so happened to get caught. But it could have been a whole lot worse, and I agree. Nick Saban needs to make a 1,000% statement and just cut bait and cut him loose. And I hope that it just rings all throughout the program, because we ain't no daggum Auburn. And I don't really care about what's going on with their coach and whatever he's doing, but we don't tolerate stuff like that at Alabama. And I know Nick Saban's not going to tolerate it, and at least I hope that he doesn't. He's got my unequivocal support if that's exactly what he decides to do. So I'm going to get off this little soapbox here, and I just want to go ahead and state that. But I think that it's just time. I'm sorry, you just can't make those types of mistakes when you got control. If this was like a grad assistant or something like that, and he just did something stupid, then that's more of a teachable moment. But Pete's darn near 40 years old. You got to know better than that. But I appreciate you for taking my call. I'll hang up and listen, and enjoying the show.
Appreciate Sammy for the call right there. I mean, Coach Saban is stern. He's stern, and he knows when it comes to the University of Alabama, people want to find ways to throw dirt on the program any way that they can, but you can't give them the ammo to throw dirt on the program. So Saban will have a decision made. Believe you me, he will have a decision made when it comes down to Pete Golden. But we continue with calls right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
This is Mike from Jacksonville, Florida. How you doing, Steve?
Mike, doing great, and yourself?
I'm gonna put a different spin on this. I'm gonna put a spin on it from a police perspective. I'm a former police officer. I'm also retired military.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm slightly. I got a little cold right now. Let me say this: everybody makes mistakes. Everybody. I have seen this situation over and over again. Excuse me. And basically, CEOs, CFOs, people in the military, school teachers. I mean, I've seen all these people get DUIs, but that doesn't stop that. That don't make them bad people. Pete Golden made a bad mistake, and I think everybody knows that. If I'm Saban, excuse me, and this cold is kind of getting to me a little bit, but if I'm Saban, this is what I would do. You learn by your lessons. Have Pete Golden go out, talk to the players, talk to the student body, and make him the spokesman for DUI. That's one example, But don't throw the man away. Excuse me. Don't put him in the ground and kick him out like some of these people are saying. If he would have killed somebody, if he would have ran into a building, something like that, that's a different story. You tell me, how many people have made mistakes like this with DUI? Thousands. So my perspective on it is the fact that make this a learning lesson, keep the man employed, and go from there. And I'm sorry I'm a little under the weather, but I got a slight cold. But you see my point I'm trying to make here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate that call right there. Absolutely. So continue with calls. So continue to light the phone lines up with your thoughts in the situation. 205-448-1358 here on a Friday. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steve? Elijah here from Jersey. How you
Elijah,
doing?
what's happening, man?
Oh, man. I'm just, sitting back, listening to everybody's, opinion about this Pete Golden situation. And, I look at it and I say, we are all human. Just because these guys coach for the University of Alabama, that don't put them above or below the law. That don't make them more perfect, less perfect. We all human. We're going to make mistakes. This man made a mistake. Thank God it didn't cost anybody their life. Thank God, he was able to walk away from it, But I wonder, would these, a lot of these people that's calling in, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, how would they feel if Nick Saban was in this position? Will we be burying him right now? Will we be saying, man, we got to get rid of him because this is Alabama? And to be honest with you, Nick Saban kind of set the standard for Alabama. So he knows, what to do, what not to do. But let's just say that shoe was on the other foot. How about Nick Saban was in this situation? Do people think he would deserve another chance? I mean, Pete Golden is a human. He made a mistake. Should he have to work his way back up to Saban's good graces? Of course. But at the same time, you can't bury a man for a mistake. Just be thankful and happy nobody got hurt in the situation. Because, like we said, this could have been a rug situation. Thank God it wasn't that. But at the same time, have him go out and talk to kids. I don't think this discredits him at all. I think kids look at him and shoot. Look how many kids from Alabama that went out there and caught DUI charges, drinking and stuff like that. I don't think this discredits him. If anything, it lets people know this man is human. This man can make mistakes. It was a lot more worse mistakes made over the years than what this man has done. I just don't think you put him on the cross and you burn him over it, because let's be honest. If Pete Golden was coaching at Wichita State, or Norfolk State, this wouldn't have been blasted all over the news. But since Pete Golden has severe ties, or he's the defensive coordinator for Alabama, the University of Alabama, which is a top tier program, that's newsworthy. That's something that they're gonna really throw out there, because now we could throw darts at Alabama. Oh, Alabama, they ain't perfect. Alabama, look, they got drunks working for them and things like that. Hell, every coach probably in college football drink. It's just that he made a bad decision and decided to drive after that. But I'm kind of like with that last caller. You don't bury this man off of this. You, if anything, use it as a coaching lesson for him and for everybody in the program that, listen, you got to be responsible. You got to think before you do. Nothing wrong with going out there having a drink, but get an Uber, get a taxi, call on an assistant coach, somebody to pick you up to make sure you get home safely so you don't hurt yourself and other people on the road. But, man, that's all I got to say about that, man. I just don't think you set the man, you crucify the man for a mistake that he made. You have a good one, Steve.
Appreciate Elijah there for his thoughts right there, my man, coming from Jersey. Continue with the calls. Getting some good calls tonight. 205-448-1358. Number to call in. Time to let your passion flow. 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from. You're live on the show, caller. And we lost that call right there. But continue to get your calls in. Your thoughts, your viewpoints. Here we got this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Fran Lee, Memphis, Tennessee.
How we doing, my man?
Doing fine. I just wanted to say, and I'll get off the phone, I've been a Bama fan about 50 years. This is stuff that's went on for several years with players and various people with the Alabama program. Northport has a reputation for that. And I'm not saying that Pete Golden is right about what he done. But to try to destroy him, man, the trolls are real busy tonight. You have a good night, sir.
Appreciate the call right there coming into the show. 205-448-1358. We grabbed this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Steven, how you doing, man? This is Marcus from Birmingham. Hey, man, just been listening to the calls, and just want to add in and say, man, I agree with the last caller. You don't crucify a man because he made a mistake. We all come up short. We all done things that we're not proud of. It happens. But let's not sit here and say the man needs to be fired and he shouldn't be coaching at the University of Alabama. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. But I don't think, he did anything that to lose his job. It shouldn't be to a point to where we can't say he's not a leader amongst those men. I think, by him saying, hey, you know what, I admit my mistakes, I own up to it. It's nobody else's fault. There's, nobody's fault but mine. That's maturity. That's being a man. That's him being a leader saying, hey, you know what, I made the mistake. I own up to it. And I'm going to do better. So, that's all I wanted to say. Just wanted to call in and, and just show support for him that, hey, he made a mistake, but we here with Coach Golden. And let's pray for him. And instead of tearing him down and so quick to throw him away, how about we pray for him and help him out?
Appreciate the call. They're coming from Marcus out of Birmingham showing support here on the show. Guys, shout out Jamie Wilham. Jamie Wilham with that $4.99 donation there in the Super Chats. Or was that $9.99? I'm trying to see that. $9.99 coming from Jamie Wilham. Appreciate that right there, supporting TDA. We continue with this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Stephen, this is Waylon. I've been in and out here. I ain't saw everybody give the chance. Now, let me say something here to the chat before I get wound up. The chat's looking good, Blue Ridge Gang. We appreciate all the donations. I missed y'all tonight typing in. I'm sorry I've been in and out there, but I see everybody here. I've been running back through. We appreciate everybody that's donated on TD. We need every one of y'all to make this show go. Like I said, Wednesday night we're up to, Lord, I don't know, 220-something people here, 24 people in the chat. I tell you, we fell off a little bit Wednesday night. I was worried about it. But anyway, let's talk about Pete Golden. I don't know. We've all done stupid things in our life, no matter what age we are, from high school, college, work, even as we get old. I do silly stuff all the time. Being stopped on a DUI, is everybody in the country is this going to be the end of his life, his career? Just because, you had a little bit too much to drink. Yes, you could have got out and had an accident, and there could have been some very, very serious injuries. I see that very well. Waylon's not quite as dumb as everybody thinks he is. It's a serious situation. But that didn't happen, so there's always somebody in control. Like I said, God's always on the throne. So that didn't happen, and we can't crucify him for one mistake. So you've got to people. We got to let this go. We got to get behind the tide. And I want to say one thing. I love everybody that comes on this show. I love everybody in this chat. I love to see all the people voice their opinions. I'm an Alabama fan. I'm not going on a Georgia platform. I don't give a damn if we win every national championship till they lay me in the ground. And we beat Georgia every year. I'm not going on their podcast. I'm not going on their sites and talking to them people. I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. I love them, like I said. get your platform and talk. Y'all get together and talk. Y'all talk together. Y'all talk with yourselves. If you're not smart enough to do that, just don't have one. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But we love everybody here at TDA, and we're going to continue to love everybody. If y'all want to get in here and chat with us, y'all chat with us. We don't care. I just ignore you. I love you anyway. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, Stephen. This new coach we got coming in, this tight end coach, I don't know nothing about him. Lay me some good news down on him, and I'm going to get off here and listen to you while you talk. Bye-bye, everyone. I love y'all. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate waiting for that call coming into the show. And we'll get to the tight ends coach, that being one Joe Cox, expected to be hired to Alabama pretty soon here, and his credentials. Appreciate that call. They're coming from Wayland. Got some super chats. They are rolling in as we're seeing the ding-ding coming through here. We got $35 dropped in by Jimmy Badman Clay in the bucket. That $35 donation. Appreciate Jimmy Clay. Behind him, I think I saw 6-0 there, John. I did see 6-0 with that 30-03. 30-03 in the super chats coming from my man 6-0. So we appreciate all the super chats rolling in here. You guys making this your show, your network, your platform, your space to talk Bama football. And I believe with 6-0, the daily super chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate all of you guys for your support of the show and your calls calling into the channel here. We're going to go to a quick topic, and this one goes to one Ty Perine, Ty Perine, punter for the Crimson Tide. He removed his name from the NCAA transfer portal, so he will remain at the University of Alabama, but he will no longer play for the Crimson Tide on the field. He plans to retire from football after getting his degree in May. Perine plans to retire from football, and it's just, kind of saddens me just due to how good his semester was in 2019, coming off the bench as a walk-on in the Tennessee game and just wowed and amazed people. I know he had the fumble against LSU, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back there. But, he did have 13 punts, 581 yards, averaged 44.7 yards per boot. It was an all-SEC freshman performer. So he walks away with two SEC championships and one national title. Just would have loved to have seen what Perine could really do and could really be at the program, but will retire from football, will get his degree in the month of May. But we continue with this call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, my name is Ken. I'm calling from Stafford, Virginia. Roll Tide.
Tim, what's happening, man?
Hey, I was calling to say about Coach Pete. I think we should support him to see what's going on. If he needs some additional help, let's give him the help. But I think we shouldn't throw somebody away because they made a mistake, even though something was serious. Now, I'm not his biggest fan. I'm one of those fans that was questioning whether he should be getting rid of in general. Believe me. So I'm not saying this because I'm a fan of his. I'm just saying because to be fair to him as a human being. And I don't even drink at all. So it's not because I have a problem like that myself at all. I don't even drink at all. But again, just to be fair, human, I think we should try to check everything out and give the man a fair chance.
Appreciate the call right there to the show. We take this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, this is Kyron from Albuquerque. That's Kyran. How you doing?
Kyron, what's going on, man?
Nothing, man. So just my little quick 2 cents on the matter. I think we need to stop with all the talk about not throwing him away, not crucify him. I get it's a mistake, but this is something that was very, very avoidable, especially when you're working with young men. All he had to do was call an Uber. That's all he had to do, and because he did not do that, I don't know if that's something that can elicit a second chance. All he had to do was make the right decision in that instance, knowing where his position is in the program, knowing the young men that he's working with. That's the one thing you cannot do, especially in regards to making good decisions. In terms of substance abuse, everything that went on with Henry Ruggs is like the one thing you cannot do, and he went and did it. So I feel that There's got to be a zero tolerance policy in regards to that. And to switch gears a little bit, I want to get your take on what you think about the whole Jimbo Fisher thing as far as the NIL and the $30 million. He got real defensive when it came up, which to me kind of says, hey, I'm guilty, But that's all. Just wanted to put in my 2 cents. Thanks.
Appreciate Kyron there for the call. Going to the Jimbo Fisher thing, I think Coach Fisher knows that the league is on him, that the NCAA and that the league is on him, because when you finish the year 8-4, granted the Aggies did get a last-second field goal victory over Alabama, but you finish the year at 8-4. How does an 8-4 team end up with the number one class in the country in recruiting? That's what's on everybody's mind. So the NIL has a lot to do with it down there in Texas. Now, how much of this is just over-exerting that NIL remains to be seen, but Jimbo knows if he cannot win a national championship with this class that the NIL has bought and brought in here, then there's going to be a lot of backlash coming off this, and there's going to be a lot of guys knocking on Jimbo's door wondering, okay, the NIL's here, we kicked out the money, we brought the guys in, why are you not winning with these guys, what's going on here? So Jimbo knows that now it's time to really put up with what took place there in this recent signing class. But appreciate you guys checking us out there in that first call segment. We're going to go to a break here. When we get back, we dive into one Joe Cox as Coach Saban continuing to upgrade his coaching staff, bringing in Cox to coach the tight ends. We talk about that after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we are back into the action from the break of a number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Continue hitting that thumbs up. Give us a like on the show. Run those likes up for us right there. Make this your network, your channel, your space to talk Alabama football. And appreciate you guys in that first call segment. You guys brought some interesting points, some strong opinions, some strong statements to the table. And that's what we're here for. It's about you, the fans. You drive the show. You drive the content. You drive the entertainment. So really appreciate you guys letting that passion flow there in that first call topic, first call segment. But we're getting to now Coach Saban upgrading his coaching staff. He continues to make some moves, shifting some things around here, and the latest name that he is about to bring in, expected to bring in as a deal could be done in the next couple of days here, happens to be one Joe Cox, the tight ends coach for Charlotte. And so Coach Cox coming in here has experience in the SEC, coaching a season at South Carolina in 2020. But looking at his credentials right here, Cox at 35 years of age, he's a native of Charlotte, North Carolina. He is a former Georgia alum, going back to that SEC footprint. He played quarterback at Georgia from 2005 to 2009. He served as a tight ends coach at Colorado State and Charlotte. But at Colorado State, he really did an outstanding job with guys like Dalton Fackrell, and Cameron Butler, and then also Trey McBride. Trey McBride had 45 receptions a season ago, but in 2019, 45 catches for 560 yards and 4 touchdowns. So all three of those guys did big things at Colorado State. He coaches tight ends that can block. He's coached tight ends that can be spread out wide, that can run great routes, good hands, can catch the football, can make plays, and once again, did some good things there at Charlotte. Also, in his 1 year coaching wide receivers at South Carolina, helped Shi Smith have a really good year there as well. So, Coach Saban, once again, getting younger in terms of the recruiting aspect, getting younger in terms of bringing in specialists and what guys do specifically well, and also getting younger with the guys having that footprint in the Southeastern Conference. Now, what's really intriguing is Nick Saban and Will Muschamp have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And the 4 hires that Saban's brought in with Coleman Holzer, Eric Wolford, Travaris Robinson, and now Joe Cox, all 4 of these hires have one common denominator. They all worked under Will Muschamp at South Carolina. Coach Boom was with the Gamecocks as a head coach from 2016 to 2020. And Coach Muschamp comes under Coach Saban in that coaching tree. So football is a giant fraternity. When you have the Coach Saban tree, and all who come up under there, including Muschamp, and then Muschamp has all of these 4 coaches that Saban has hired to Alabama. They all come from him. You just got to think there's a great relationship. There's a strong relationship. You look at Saban and Muschamp, and I know at times Muschamp comes off as a ticking time bomb, very energetic, very passionate, very in your face, very in your grill, very emotional, coaches with his hair on fire half the time. But coming from Muschamp, coaches are going to be intense. They're going to give all energy. They're going to give all effort. They're going to give a lot of attention to the details. They're highly intelligent. Coach Muschamp, he brings up highly intelligent assistants, highly intelligent recruiters, highly intelligent coaches. So all 4 of these moves coming from Muschamp to Coach Saban were all big moves, were all good moves, were all quality moves. Now, a lot of people are asking the question, well, what does this do for Drew Swoboda, because he coached tight ends and special teams this past season? Well, Coach Swoboda will either go to an off-field role, or Coach Swoboda will probably be out of the program. When you look at Coleman Holzer, will be with the special teams, and also he'll coach linebackers, which is the reason why Sal Sunseri is in an off-field role. And when you bring in Joe Cox to coach the tight ends, that's going to push Drew Swoboda somewhere elsewhere. But Coach Cox, happy to have him in here with the Crimson Tide. Coach Saban continuing to, upgrade the staff, getting younger in every part of the staff, but actually bringing in guys that specialize in certain areas and certain positions that can coach these young men up and have success with them, and especially at tight end where Cox is concerned, because with Jaleel Billingsley now at Texas, you've got Cameron Latu, you have Robbie Oots, who served in that fullback role this past season, but was recruited as a tight end and is here as a tight end. And when you sign 3 really good athletes in this class with Elijah Brown and Amari Nablack and Danny Lewis Jr. So which one of those guys can arise quickly to be a good complement to Latu will be an interesting question, and that will be the job of Cox to help get that to fruition there where Alabama is concerned. But Joe Cox coming to the Crimson Tide to coach tight ends. It's going to be very interesting to see what he's able to do and put down on the table. But that's going to take us to our next break, folks. We'll touch that down. When we get back, we return to the phone lines to grab your calls, your texts, your tweets, your thoughts, your conversations. We get back to you right after this.
Every Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
Back into the action here, folks, from the break on number one form for Bama. Football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show. Happy to have you guys checking us out on today. Gotta shout out Jimmy, the bad man Clay, once again helping us out in the Super Chats with a $26 donation, dropping the love there in the bucket. Appreciate the love there coming from our own Jimmy Clay. And we go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We grab this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steven, this is Mike from Kentucky. How you doing, brother?
Mike, doing fantastic, man. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm a little just dumbfounded, for the lack of a better word. I mean, what's Pete Golden thinking, man? The dude's he got to be making $1 million a year.
I think he's at 1.2 million.
You know, yeah, I mean, it don't get no more high profile than being at the University of Alabama. You know, I get making a mistake, but there's a big difference between an 18, 19-year-old young man making a mistake and a 40-year-old man making a mistake. I think, you know, you got to hold him to a different standard than a young kid coming up. But I'm gonna let Nick Saban decide that. You know, I'm not going to throw my lot either way on it. But I'd like to talk about Jimbo Fisher for a minute if I can.
Go ahead.
You know, when Summerlin come to A&M, that school spent just shy of $500 million on facilities. Okay, that couldn't get it done. Then they went out and bought a $72 million coach. That couldn't get it done. And Jimbo Fisher goes on the national broadcast with a podcast that, like, it's unfathomable, unbelievable, implausible for them to spend $32 million on NIL deals. Come on, man. I may be some dumb, but I ain't plumb dumb. You know, they're trying to buy their way to the top, and it all come out in the wash. What do you think, Steven?
I mean, for Jimbo, it's like I mentioned, everybody's on him. Everybody's on him. He's going to have to take this class and win the national championship. And if he doesn't do that, then like you mentioned, Mike, it'll all come out in the wash. He has to win a national championship because now A&M is on the biggest microscope right now.
Yeah, Jimbo Fisher recruited 4 5-star players in the 5 years he's been at A&M. He got 7 this year. I mean, come on, man. That's about like when Freeze at Mississippi, Ole Miss, wound up with the best O tackle, the best D tackle, and the best receiver in the country. Yeah, that was just a coincidence too, man. I'm going to let somebody else get on. Roll Tide, brother.
Appreciate Mike from Kentucky coming on. I mean, people remember what the deal was with Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss back in 2013. I mean, the moment when Robert Kimdichie, Laramie Tunsil, and and Laquan Treadwell. The moment all three of those young men hit that campus, Ole Miss knew we in trouble because the NCAA knew Ole Miss is good. Ole Miss hasn't been good in decades. Something ain't right about this one. Like the NCAA just went all in there on Ole Miss because they knew something wasn't quite right about that situation. Now, I know we got name, image, likeness now. Players getting compensated for their efforts on the field. But for A&M to pull off all of this with the NIL, if you're Jimbo Fisher and you cannot win a national championship, it's going to be some serious stuff happening in Aggieland. But 205-448-1358, but I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. I'm going to go to this topic here, and this is on Mac Jones. And Mac said several rookie records, or multiple rookie records for the Patriots as a quarterback. He set the rookie record for touchdown passes, surpassing one Jim Plunkett's mark of 19 in 1971. He set the rookie record for passing yards. He set the record for completion percentage. He set the record for passer rating. It was a good rookie season for Mac, and he's been chosen as an alternate for the AFC at the quarterback position for the Pro Bowl. And Thursday, we had the Pro Bowl Skill Showdown Challenge in Las Vegas, and Mac put on a show, especially in the thread the needle competition, where he went up against two of the best corners in the league, Trayvon Diggs for the Dallas Cowboys, Mac's former teammate at Alabama, and Darius Slay of the Eagles. If I'm not mistaken, he came from the Lions. I think now he's with the Eagles, but he went up against Slay and Diggs, and Mac Jones was threading that ball into those corners, dropping it in the hole, scoring points there for the AFC. He had a string of 4 straight passes in a row where he was gunning it by Diggs and Slay, and the AFC, because of Mac Jones, won that competition 12-11. Mac had, fun time there at the Precision Skill Challenge. But getting back to the thread the needle, going into the draft process, the 2021 draft process, many pundits were like, Mac doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't have the elite arm strength. He can't gun it in there. He can't fire it in there. He can't put the heat on that ball, getting it to wide receivers, despite the fact that if you go back and watch the tape at Alabama, you saw several times where Mac Jones gunned the ball between 2 and 3 defenders to hit the wide receiver, whether it was the Kentucky game in 2020 where he hit Devontae Smith in between 2 or 3 guys, whether it was the Tennessee game where he threw that ball in the double coverage and hit John Mechie. There were numerous times in 2020 where Mac showed he's got that arm strength. But just going back to the Pro Bowl Skills Challenge, the thread the needle competition, he gunned that ball by Trayvon Diggs, who, by the way, has 11 picks this season. He gunned the ball by Darius Slay, another one of the better corners in the NFL. So year 2 for Mac Jones, depending on who New England brings in to replace Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. Year 2 with Mac Jones, that's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch his development as he grows as a quarterback in this league. But we grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Stephen, I forgot to mention it the first time. I've been wound up. I'm going to mention it this time. I'm going to make it quick. I talked to Big Bill last night from New York. We had a great conversation. Bill there, his father was in the same trade I was in the Boilermaker trade. And this is what I'm going to tell everybody. We done a lot of dangerous work. This is the same thing as the situation Pete Golding done. We done a lot of dangerous work. I started in '83. We didn't have anything to tie off with. We had no belt you put around your waist. You 500, 600, 700 feet in there hanging iron. And you got nothing to walk on but those beams and those young new boys that come in like myself, they'd be scared to death. I'm older guy to say, come here, boys. And we'd say, yes, sir, what you need us to do? You'd say, y'all ain't never been up this high in there, have you? We said, no, sir, we've never been up this high in there. He said, come right over here. He said, get your little puff of this Latin lettuce. We'd take us a little puff out of Latin lettuce in about 30 minutes. You'd turned a bunch of monkeys loose in a damn jungle gym. We'd be all over that iron up there. But, we all made mistakes back then. But we done that, And like I said, you just can't blame. It's what Pete Golding done. Pete Golding, made a mistake, but we've all done it. So there it is. You can laugh about it all you want to. When you took your puff at Latin lettuce, we was in there we was dancing all over that iron like a bunch of monkeys in the jungle, Jim. I'm here to tell you, I love y'all. I got to get off here. I hope y'all enjoy that. I'll see y'all Monday. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate weighing in there for that call coming into the show. We continue with this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name, where you calling from.
Hey, good evening, brother. Tide Man, checking in from Jackson, Mississippi.
Todd, man, what's happening, man?
Man, I'm doing well. Good conversation tonight, and with Pete Golding, I confess that I'm actually kind of conflicted listening to all the callers. I think all of them have made good points, and I actually pretty much agree with everything everyone has said. I am sort of concerned. I do think there's a difference between, as one caller mentioned, young men, young 18, 19-year-old men who make mistakes, and as Saban has said before, do you want a kid who's made a mistake? Do you want him to be out of school, back on the streets, back in a negative environment, or do you want him here continuing to further his education where he can have an opportunity to go on and lead a productive life in society? And so he believes in second chances and third chances. And even as far as hiring coaches that have had checkered careers like Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin, giving those guys second chances. But it might be a little bit different when your own coach on the team right now, when your whole message is about the process. And you tell these kids it doesn't matter if you're a 4 or 5 star, how talented you are. If you're not doing things the right way, if you're not going to class, if you're not showing up to team meals, if you're not executing the fundamentals, if I can't trust you to do the right thing on the field and off the field, then I don't care how talented you are, you're not going to play. So I wonder how that message is going to translate to Pete Golding if there are no kind of consequences for Pete Golding from Nick Saban. And I don't know if Pete Golding would tolerate or accept sort of a demotion for a year to maybe go up in the box or be demoted to an analyst, take a little bit of a pay cut and say, we want you to hang around so you can move back onto the sidelines and be our head coordinator next year. I don't know if that's something that Nick Saban could do, if Pete Golding would accept that. But I do think it is different. It is just different because he is a coach. He's supposed to be one of the leaders. He's supposed to be one of the people teaching the kids under his tutelage about the process and the principles of the process. So it's a tough call. But I think ultimately, like some people have said, Nick Saban always seems to make the right call and the right judgment in regards to these things. And once again, I'm going to defer to the GOAT to do the right thing and make the right decision, and I'll stand behind him whatever he decides to do. But those are just my thoughts on it. And it is a serious thing. Like somebody brought up Henry Ruggs, this drinking and driving thing, driving intoxicated, it is sort of I have sort of a zero tolerance policy for this because it's not just you're making a mistake that affects you. You're making a mistake that is putting the lives and welfare of other human beings in danger. And I think that is something that needs to just can't be tolerated on any level. That's my 2 cents on it. Not that I haven't made mistakes. Not that I haven't done that before in my life, like so many people have. But I'm not coaching a football team. I'm not trying to teach 18, 19-year-old kids to do the right thing. So, anyway, it's easy for me to sit here and make these comments. But so I don't know. I'm torn, like I said, torn between it. But I will defer to the GOAT. And whatever happens, I'll stand behind it and wish him well. And, all right, that's my 2 cents, and thanks for letting me call in. Roll Tide, brother.
Appreciate Todd, man, for checking in right there. And for all of you making this your show, making this your network to have this conversation here on One Pete Gold. And we continue with the calls here. We grab this one. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hello. This is Russell Buckhunks. I'm calling from Knoxville in Tennessee, and I am 85 years old. How are you?
Doing great, Russell. How you feeling?
Good. I called about 3 3 to 5 days ago, and I believe that we were disconnected. So I'd like to continue my point, if I may. Oh, God, now what was I talking about? I was talking about the championship game against, what was it now, Georgia? And you're telling me that they're called the Bulldogs. Well, my wife, Leon, is a big Bulldogs fan. And we don't get along too good when football season rolls around. And in the championship game, I got to say that we didn't watch the game in the same room. We had to watch in different rooms. Kind of like me and Leanne have been sleeping in different rooms for many years now. Well, I remember in the first quarter, was it the first quarter now, or was it the second quarter? No, hang on a moment. One of the gentlemen on the field did a touchdown. Oh, God, now, what was his name? It was a white fella, I believe, by the name of, I think his name was David. I don't know.
Get your thoughts together, sir. Call back so once you get your thoughts together. Call back once you get your thoughts together, so we appreciate that, Russell. We appreciate Russ for calling in. He's trying to get his thoughts together. Bless his heart. Trying to get those thoughts together. We go to this call here, though. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steven. It's Mattress Matt in Mobile. How are you?
Matt, doing good, and yourself?
You handled that well, Steven. You handle all of the stuff well. You have a good way with people, but Pete Golding could turn this into something positive, if he really handles it the right way. If he comes at it with a lot of humility and he's humble and he just says, I don't know if he has a problem or not, but if he could come out and say, I've struggled with alcohol off and on in my life, and I'm ready to make a change, and I hate that this happened, but I've accepted responsibility, and I'm going to make it a point, not to drink or something like that, and maybe go get some help or something, and say, I'm going to dedicate my life to helping other people, with their substance abuse problems, and maybe, turn this into a positive thing. I think a lot of people nowadays have a lot of leniency and compassion for, substance related problems, especially when people admit their problem and admit that they have a disease and go get help and approach it with humility and if he this might have just been a slip up, and maybe he doesn't ever drink, maybe he can't handle his alcohol. I don't know. If you don't ever drink and then you go out and you have a drink, especially after, maybe a good recruiting day, they went out and celebrated, and if he doesn't drink a lot and, he had a bunch of, liquor on an empty stomach, if you don't have a tolerance, you don't really have the ability to make the decision to call Uber. You'd have to do that ahead of time and get a couple of people to make sure that Uber gets called. Well, he's a full-grown man. He doesn't have to have people taking care of him, and so he probably didn't plan all that out ahead of time. And then he goes out there, and if you get a great buzz going, sometimes you want to go, you want to get in your car and drive. You don't have the ability to make a rational decision when you're drunk. So it's easy to say he could have called Uber, but hey, you have 7 or 8 shots of liquor on an empty stomach and tell me if you have the rationality to call Uber. You might, but you got to kind of do that ahead of time before you get drunk. But you know, if he could get sober, and I'm not shy about it. I'm a proud member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it led me to a relationship with God. It led me to it changed my life. I mean, I had alcohol problems myself. I had no direction in life. You know, 15 years ago, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was depressed. I had anxiety. I had social anxiety, and I used alcohol to, you know, as a social lubricant, and as, you know, it was my solution, you know, alcohol, and I tell you, you know, it can be a blessing in disguise if you can, you know, get sober and have a program that gives you, you know, have a relationship with God, and, you know, it can change your life. Probably make him a better defensive coordinator than if he, you know, didn't have a life of recovery, you know. And so, I have compassion about this, but he needs to do the right thing, and, you know, be humble, and I think, you know, he can be better off because of it. So, I appreciate your show. I love your show, and hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy the Alabama-Kentucky game tomorrow night.
Absolutely, Mattress Matt from Mobile with that call right there. And before we go to break, John, I just want to say this. This is the reason why I enjoy doing this show. This is the reason why right here. Because as much as I enjoy talking Crimson Tide football, and I've been doing this since I was 2 years old, as a kid with a pamper on, a pin behind my ear, and me yelling at ESPN on TV at that age. As much as I enjoy talking Crimson Tide football, I enjoy having these types of conversations with you, the fans, because like I mentioned, you drive the channel, you drive the excitement, you drive the passion, you feel the love affair that is college football and college sports in general. So I greatly appreciate all of you guys for having or being engaged in this conversation. We go to a break right now, folks. When we get back, we will dive into one Brian Robinson to tidy up loose ends. B-Rob had a great week of Senior Bowl practice, and a week that could start his increased draft value into maybe a second-round guy. We'll talk B-Rob, the Senior Bowl, and what is left for him to possibly get that second-round draft stock right after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we are back into the action here, folks, from the break of a number one show, hottest show of the streets for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show, and appreciate all of you guys making this your show, your network, your channel, your space to talk Alabama football. Really appreciate you guys. And before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of you wanting to rep your favorite program and rep your favorite brand, giving you the information on your favorite program. We got you covered right here with all of your hoodies, t-shirts, pants, joggers, all clothing types, all styles, all shapes, all forms. We got you right here. TDAwear.com. We got you rocking your Crimson Tide and rocking us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. You check out the link in the description, TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. Get your fashion on with us right here, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But the Senior Bowl in Mobile this week at Whitney Hancock Stadium, and a lot of NFL teams, well, quite a few NFL teams down there, a lot of NFL draft scouts, evaluators, pundits, a lot of people down in Mobile for this event. And Brian Robinson has had a really good Senior Bowl week. And this is one of those things where the practices are more important than the game. The game is a formality for you to have fun, but the practices leading up to the game, that's where you're being tested, that's when you're being evaluated, that's when you're being graded, that's where all of the big stuff takes place. And for B-Rob, this week, I mean, he has been outstanding. I mean, he weighed in well at 6'1", 225 pounds with a wingspan of 77 3/8 of an inch. And he goes out there in the drills, and he shows the speed. He shows the power. He shows the shiftiness. He shows the cutback ability. He shows the hands out the backfield as a pass catcher. But what really impressed pro teams this week, yesterday, they took the drills inside because of the inclement weather that came in. And B-Rob's in this past pro drill, he's going up against Channing Tindall, linebacker formerly of Georgia. And he stuck Channing Tindall every single time. I mean, hit him, stuck him, chipped him, did not let that man get anywhere near the passer. And every single time you had NFL coaches hyped up, jumping up and down, real excited. Deuce Staley, who's the assistant head coach and running backs coach for the Detroit Lions, I mean, he ran on the field and chest bumped B-Rob. He was like, yeah, like Deuce Staley was hyped up. And if you know anything about Staley, he was a running back in the SEC at South Carolina. He got drafted in the third round of a 1997 draft, if I'm not mistaken there. He played for the Saints, and he played for the Steelers and the Eagles, played for both teams. He won a Super Bowl with the Steelers as a player. He won a Super Bowl with the Eagles as a coach. I mean, Staley, big-time running back. And for him to see B-Rob put up a show like that and him getting excited, could Robinson end up being a Detroit Lion? Who knows? Could be. We'll see. But that was a huge performance for him on Thursday. And this entire week, Robinson has done well. And according to Jim Nagy, the executive director for the Senior Bowl, Robinson was voted as the top running back for the American team. It was voted on by the linebackers and defensive secondary players, voting B-Rob for this honor. And a lot of times, when players get those weekly honors at Senior Bowl practice, it goes a long way into increasing that draft value. Remember when O.J. Howard competed in the Senior Bowl, and he was already going to be a first-round pick, but he goes down to Mobile, he competes in the event, he gets named top tight end or top player for the Senior Bowl, and O.J. Howard ended up being a first-round pick in his respective draft class. And then remember this past draft where you had Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, and Mac Jones all down there in Mobile. Najee Harris was going to be a first-round pick, but he goes to the Senior Bowl. He performs in the practices. It's the 24th overall pick in the 2021 draft by the Steelers. Mac Jones goes down to the event. Many people were talking about him as maybe being a high first-round pick, but he goes down to the Senior Bowl. He puts on a show in that week of practice. He was named the top quarterback, and he gets taken number 15 overall in the first round by the Patriots. Now, am I saying B-Rob is going to be a first-round pick? That's not what I'm saying. However, his performance at the Senior Bowl this week is a good showing, is a good gauge of him increasing that draft stock. Now, what he's going to have to do, I think the Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indy, if B-Rob can go to the Combine, if he can place in the top 5 among backs in various drills, depending upon how many drills will he do, how many stations will he participate in, but if he can be in the top 5 for the 40-yard dash, for the broad jump, for the vertical jump, for the 3-cone drill, for the shuttle drills, if he can do well in the on-field drills also in Indy, that's going to play a big card because everybody and their mama is going to be at the Combine. So B-Rob goes off at the Combine, that's a big feather in his cap. And then if he goes to Pro Day in Tuscaloosa and does well at the University of Alabama for his Pro Day, that's going to be big also. But this performance here at Senior Bowl practice, this is huge for him because this starts that increased draft stock because he can get into that first 5 to 10 picks being taken off the board in the second round. The only reason why I would not put B-Rob in the first round is due to be a first-round pick, you have to do something just exceptionally well, right? For Evan Neal, the guy's just got freakish size, freakish athleticism, really good pass blocker. I don't think he gave up a sack this past season. So, Evan Neal does things exceptionally well. When you look at Jamison Williams, that speed, exceptional speed. And the teams are going to draft that type of speed because they know we get that type of receiver on the field, we force the opposing defense to play a whole different style. We dictate terms to that defense. So those two guys, Neal and J-Mo, they do things exceptionally well in terms of being first-round picks. B-Rob is he's a compact guy. He's just very good. He's just good in a lot of areas. He's a B-plus guy in a whole bunch of areas. And a B-plus guy means you can be within those first 5 to 10 picks of the second round. But we will see how he does in the Combine. We will see how he does at his Pro Day. This was huge here, being named the top running back for the American team at the Senior Bowl by Jim Nagy. And, of course, B-Rob, kudos to him, waiting 5 years for a chance to be the starting running back at Alabama. And the Tuscaloosa native took full advantage of it. He had over 1,300 yards rushing this past season, 1,343, 14 touchdowns, had a big performance in the Cotton Bowl against Cincinnati, 204 yards rushing. He, with the most rushing yards by Bama running back in a bowl game, an all-SEC performer. So definitely wish the best there for Robinson, but happy to see him having a great performance in the Senior Bowl week of practice. The actual game will be Saturday, 1:30 p.m. Central Time at kickoff from Whitney Hancock Stadium in Mobile. NFL Network will have the call there on the Reese's Senior Bowl. But as always, Tide fans, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being Bama football. You can get that by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. When you download the app from the iPhone App Store, if you're rocking Team app or Google Play Store, if you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Overcast.fm, TuneIn Radio, or iHeartRadio. If you're trying to get copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine and have those sent to your door, that link will be found in the description to check that out. You can also get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine. You go to touchdownalabama.com, you click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link found in the description. If you're trying to get your hands on the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That's WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link in the description as well. Appreciate all you guys for writing in, calling in, texting in, donating in, making this your spot for Crimson Tide football conversation. Me and the man John Ivory appreciate you guys. The whole TDA family appreciate you guys. Until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, we are here at the weekend. Weekend's here, but still, Do the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored. You be sure to grab you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Enjoy the Alabama-Kentucky basketball game tomorrow on ESPN. Hopefully the Crimson Tide and Nate Oates can pull out this win here. But until next time, folks, I'm your man Stephen M. Smith, and you've been listening to In My Own Words.